Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining. We are back with Sonal again. And the first question on on the similar lines is, hi, I was picked in this year's H1B lottery. All the documents have been submitted and I'm waiting for approval. I want to check when is the right time for me to change my job. And if my job gets terminated before October 1st because of layoffs, what happens to my H1B lottery?
So, well, if it happens before October 1, then the H1B is gone, right? Technically,
Okay.
it's gone because the position that it was applied for, it's not there for you anymore unless they are going to rehire you after October 1. If it is like, okay,
Okay.
3 months layoff and then we're going to, which hardly happens, right? The other thing is whether they are going to send a withdrawal letter for it. So if it is already pending and they lay you off, then if USCIS does not know that the layoff has happened, then they are probably going to approve it. But can you really use it? That's a technical issue, right? Yes, some people will say you can use it because it's approved, but then at some later point, if they find out that the job was not there on the date of approval, then they can send a notice of intent to revoke. So that becomes a technical issue. But technically, if you go by the regulations, if on the date before October 1, the job is gone, the most conservative approach is the H1B is gone, right? Now, if you are laid off after October 1, and this was filed as a consular processing, then you're fine. Even before, I think it should be fine because consular processing, you're not asking for like joining right away, right? You're asking for joining at a later date, go get the stamping done and come back. Little technicality there as well, whether it would mean that the H1B was activated or not, that's a separate question. But if it happens after October 1 and it was applied with a change of status, then your status was converted automatically to H1B on October 1. Now, after October 1, it happens at some point, you have those regular 60-day grace period to find another employer. You will still be counted against the cap. But before October 1, you probably are not going to be counted against the cap, and that might not hold
So
if
if
they come to.
so, got it. So if it's before October 1, then they will have to go into the lottery again next year, right? To actually, that's the question, I think. Like, will the same lottery be used by my other employer, or do I need to enter a new lottery next
So
year?
they will have to go if the H1B is withdrawn, right?
Okay.
So if the employer says the case was filed on say June 1, you get laid off on 15th August, and the employer say because we have laid you off, we are going to send a withdrawal for this pending H1B now. Or if for that matter, if it's approved also, you filed it in premium processing, it's already approved, but you got laid off on August 15th. The employer sends a withdrawal, this is gone.
Got it.
So you have to go through the
And
lottery again.
if they don't send a withdrawal, then it's the technicality of
That
what
is
happens. Okay, got
technical.
it.
That is technical. Conservatively, it should mean that it should not be counted against the cap because the job that was filed did not exist as of October 1. He was supposed to join your job as October 1, but if he's laid off and the job does not exist, then it should not be counted against the cap. Now, if the company does not withdraw it and USCIS doesn't know, then the approval stands, but that's what creates the problem. Later on, if they get to know, they can always come back and send you a NOIR saying that this should not
Got
have
it.
been counted against the cap.
Got it. The next question is if an individual doesn't have an approved I-140 and have finished 5.5 years of H-1B, what options do they have to come back on H-1B?
Well, you have to spend a year outside after completing 6 years. You have to spend a year outside of US and then you qualify for the lottery again if you want to come back on the H-1B. Now, if the I-140 is already in process and you just don't have the approval yet and 6 years are reached, then You go out, and once the I-140 is approved, then they file an H1B extension, because the priority date is not going to be current. If this person is from India, then they can always come back on an H1B under AC-21 regulations. But if not, if the process has not even started, then they go back, spend at least 1 year physically outside of the US, qualify for the lottery again, picked up in the lottery, and come back on the H1B for 6 more years.